I won't deny it, I'm a straight rider. You don't wanna fuck with me. Got the police busting at me, but they can't do nothing to me.
Let's get ready to rumble!
What up, what up, what up? Serial Assassin here, and I'm bringing another gameplay and commentary. One of the comments I've received is they want to see more sniping, so the game in the background, I'm sniping. Hope you enjoy it. So I'm continuing along in my series of Surviving Stupidity. So this episode is probably going to be the first of maybe several about the Red Church. Now, where I grew up, there was a community in the area that was called the Red Church. And the reason it was is because they had this big church that was made of nothing red bricks. They had red stained glass windows. And the community was very isolated. There was guard shacks. It was surrounded by trees. It was very isolated from the rest of the area. So the rumor is that around the high school, and the folk tale is that the church was a devil worshiping church, and the community was a bunch of devil worshippers. So after I first got my license, I wanted to go check this place out. So it became sort of a thing where me and my friends would ride back in this area and check out the church. So there was dirt roads around it and stuff like that, and there was basically only two entrances to the church or the church community. And the first one was a guarded shack near the main entrance, and then there was a back gate that we called the Gate Masters. And there was a little farmhouse right across the street from it, and that was the Gate Master's house. So we used to drive down this dirt road, and they had motion sensor lights all over the place. So when a car drove down, the lights went off, and we thought that maybe there was additional sensors that set off stuff and whatnot. So the one night, me and my buddy Josh took a couple girls up there, and we wanted to check out the Gate Master's house. So I mean, it was a little, just typical little blue farmhouse, nothing spectacular. It was a little run down. But the thing is whenever we drove by this house, the lights were usually very dim in the house, and the basement had one of those little small, 1x4 windows to the basement, and it always had a red glowing light to it. So we would always stop in front of the Gate Master's house and just stare in and see if we could see anything. So on this particular night, my friend Josh decided to show off for these ladies, and he got out of my car. And while he was getting out of the car, I had my blue Nova that was automatic, and I turned the key a little bit to turn the engine off, to act like it died. And it was scary to the girls, and I knew what I was doing, because if I left it in gear and then went to try to start it again, nothing would happen because it wasn't in park or neutral. So I used to scare girls like that. But anyway, so I killed the engine, and Josh was like, "I'm gonna go see what's going on." So Josh gets out, jumps over the wood fence, and he runs over it, and he's peering in the window, and he's just checking shit out. And then out of the shadows behind this big-ass oak tree steps this guy. And he had this long white beard, and he had this big, stick cane thing in his hand, and he whipped Josh across the back. And Josh, stumbled out of shock and probably pain, and stood up and just, turned ghost white and ran and, jumped over the fence, got in the car real quick, slammed the door, was like, "Greg, go, 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 go." So I went to turn the key, forgetting that I turned it off and had it still in gear. And I'm like, "Fuck, the car won't start. Fuck, the car won't start. What the hell's going on? Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit." And I then remembered, I had to put it in park. So I slid it in park, and I started the engine. And right as I started the engine, there was a knock on the window on Josh's side and the passenger side of the car. And there was another one there with a long white beard, just had the farmer's hat on, just looked crazy as shit. And he was holding a sickle in his hand. And we were just like, "Ah!" And the girls are screaming, and, we're freaking out. So I started, I throw it into gear, and I slam on the gas, and, the dirt road is churning up out some behind my tires, and I take off, and I was just like, "Holy shit, this is craziness." And we drove off, and the guy that knocked on the window walked out in the middle of the road, and the guy that whipped Josh walked out in the middle of the road, and they're just standing in the middle of the road staring at us as we fly down this dirt road. And about maybe 100 yards down, the road turned off real sharp to the left and went over a bridge. And it was, it was told that that bridge, there was a bunch of graffiti on it. It was just a small, like 20-foot bridge, had steel guardrails on the side, and it was just a wood bridge. But there was graffiti all over it, and it was, the tale is that if anyone that graffitied their name on there ended up dead within a year. So we come down, and I'm just trying to stop and turn and make the turn, and my car slid a little bit, did a little fishtail action. I go over the bridge, I come off the other side, and I'm like, holy shit, that was crazy. And Josh had, the girls were looking at Josh's back, and like the cane or whatever it was actually ripped his shirt, and he had like, a scratch all the way down, his back. And we were like, fuck, that's nuts. So, the girls are like, we gotta go home. The one girl was crying. She was crazy, scared. And, we ended up driving back home and dropping them off, calming down. And it was a great story, and it was just crazy. We ended up going back to Josh's house. He changed his shirt. His mom put some stuff on his back. And, he just told his mom we were goofing around, and I pushed him up against a fence, and he banged it, and that's what cut his shirt. But it was nuts. And, being crazy kids that we were, like, that was just crazy. So, and honestly, we weren't doing anything wrong. We were driving down a public street, dirt street maybe, but it was a public street, and, we parked outside. Now, yes, Josh was trespassing when he dropped the fence and took a look inside, but, it was that kind of, you knew you weren't supposed to be there, but at the same time, you had every legal right to be there. So, yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy that Josh jumped the fence and got freaking whipped on his back. And then these two guys, and I don't know if they're Amish or what, but they had these long white beards. And they just looked like something out of Children of the Corn. It was just ridiculous. And, yeah, it was scary. That was one of probably 3 times. So maybe this was serious. When I talk about the Red Church, there'll be 3 of them. But this was one of 3 times that something really crazy happened. And that was one of them. So I really don't know what the moral of the story is to this one. I guess Josh getting out of the car and being stupid and hopping into their yard to take a peek. He said he really couldn't see anything down there. He said he could have swore he saw something hanging, like maybe a goat or something hanging upside down, and there was a bucket under it, but he really couldn't tell what it was. But, that's what he said it was. It was a goat that had its throat sliced, and there was blood in the bucket underneath. But we really didn't buy it because literally he was only peeking in the window maybe 20 seconds before this guy stepped out of the shadows and hit him. So, and the thing is, before you even got out of the car, we were only there maybe 3 minutes. So, maybe the motion sensors were, early indicators that somebody was coming. But anyway, so that's it for now. Like I said, I'll give a couple more of these stories. They're kind of scary, they're kind of interesting, they're kind of fun. But this one was kind of, probably the scariest. Well, nah, not the scariest of the 3, but it's a good story. So I hope you all enjoyed. Click the like button if you liked. Click the sub button if you want some more. And as always, thank you very much for your support. I love you very much. And that's it. Peace.